What's good, Denver?
What's good, Denver? How are you? Welcome to our new podcast. This is episode 0 of What's Good, Denver. And this is going to be a culture and events discovery show with me. My name's Ryan, Troy, Tom, and Olivia. And what we hope to do here on this episode is just kind of introduce ourselves to you, talk about what this podcast will be, and this podcast will evolve. As time goes on, we'll add different elements to the show. But largely what we're thinking is this probably a 15 or 20-minute show. We'll publish it weekly of kind of what's on tap for the following week. And each of us will kind of bring different elements to the table. We'll bring different products. We'll do art launches. No, it's more like art openings, restaurant openings, stuff to do for your family, stuff to do with your parents, stuff to do with your grandparents. We'll find fun things that's going on in Denver specifically and share them here. So I'll talk a little bit about myself. My name's Ryan. I'm a married guy. I've got 2 teenage kids. In a former life, I was a musician. I like martial arts. I love everything outdoorsy. I'm actually from Colorado. So as far as time spent in Colorado, I think I'm gonna hold the record here for this group. I'm really excited about learning more about our city and also share some of my favorite spots. So you can expect it's probably sporting events. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna talk about stuff you can do with your family. I'm especially sensitive for free events that you can do with little kids, because everybody's always looking to get out of the house with their kids. I'm interested in cultural openings as far as like arts, music. Of course, I don't get out so much. But when I do, it's usually in kind of small clubs and theaters. I'm not a big arena guy. As much as I love Red Rocks to death, it's kind of too many people for me. So you could probably you could probably expect some stuff off the beaten path. Probably a lot of neighborhood bars, things like that. I'll pass it off to Tom here. Tom, how are you? Maybe you start off with this introduction to your time in Denver, maybe some of the stuff you're going to introduce to our audience here.
Of course. What's good, Ryan? I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to talk on the show. So really excited about what we're going to do, sharing some cool new experiences, places, venues, art, whatever it's going to be on What's Good Denver. So I haven't been here quite as long as you. I'm originally from New Jersey, but I have been in Colorado for a while. So I'm pretty well tapped into the nightlife scene and what's going on around town in terms of music, food, culture, live events, anything. So I moved out to Colorado in 2014 when I attended Colorado State University up in Fort Collins. And since then, I've pretty much only wanted to be here, not back in New Jersey. So then I moved to Denver back in 2020. So I've been here for about a little over 3 years, I would say. 3-ish years. I don't know. Mid-COVID is when I got out here. But since then, I've been pretty tapped into what's going on around town. I'm really excited to share some insights on the music scene around town, nightlife, also the food scene that we got going on, because there's so much good food in Denver and me and my friends love to eat. So that's what I'm excited to talk about. Oh yeah.
Tom, how'd you escape New Jersey without an accent?
Well, everyone in the generation before me has the accent, but most people my age actually lost it just because, everyone's parents are from New York City and they've all moved to New Jersey. But New York is where the accent starts. And if you're born in New Jersey, a lot of times people my age, especially my generation, they lost the accent. So I'm clean. When I come out here, people can't really tell I'm from New Jersey until maybe, it gets a little late, I get a little tired, or I get a little angry, and then they might be able to tell just a little bit.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be great to hear your perspective because Tom also is well keyed into EDM scene here in Denver, particularly with kind of the local clubs, and also is an insane snowboarder. So I hope to hear
Yes.
a lot of stuff about that. I also want to I want to pass it off to Troy, and Troy's going to get a shorter introduction because Troy's in San Diego. He's our San Diego connection, dropping in with production. So Troy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Ryan. What's good, everybody? My name's Troy. I'm not located in Denver. I'm actually located in San Diego. I've actually never even been to Denver, but I'm still going to talk about stuff. And if you're listening and you're not from Denver, then you're just like me. We're here to learn. We're here to learn about the culture, the city, cool things to do, and what's happening. And I'll also provide some miscellaneous information on what's going on in my life and other events around town and around the world. And
Awesome.
I'll pass it on to Olivia from here.
Also to be mentioned is that we're going to do What's Good San Diego next, and it'll be the three of us producing Troy's monologue about what to do in San Diego. So keep an eye out for that podcast.
We love it. We love that. Coming up next.
Hey, Olivia.
Hey, what's good?
Not a whole lot. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I am from Colorado on the Western Slope. So bringing a little Western Slope action. But I moved to Denver for the first time in 2016. I've been kind of coming and going ever since. So I feel like I'm native to Colorado, but I've come and gone a lot. So I'm really sensitive to providing like community resources to people who might find it kind of difficult to plug into Denver, if that makes sense.
You bet.
I am in the queer community, so I love shouting out those events and making sure my community is taken care of. I'm really into upcycled fashion and sustainability in general. So I love a good vintage pop-up and building community like that. And I'm also a visual artist, so I like tapping into that community.
That's amazing. Quick question. When you were a kid, being a Denver kid myself, what was your perception of Denver growing up?
Oh, it was the big city for us. It's where people grew up and moved to.
Was that aspirational? Where you're like, one day I'm getting to Denver?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it was basically anywhere but Grand Junction, which is where I grew up. But I definitely looked forward to moving to Denver when I was a kid.
You bet. Grand Junction is a beautiful, beautiful city. It's right next to the National Monument. Amazing mountain biking out there, but is also known to be kind of a conservative bastion of Colorado. Growing up in the queer community out there, how was that?
I mean, when I was a kid, we didn't really have much of a queer community. There was kind of one, bar that was known to be for the community, but I was a kid, and it was a bit different. It wasn't as inviting. I think it's changed a lot since I've grown up. I know people who still live there who feel, represented and safe in a way we weren't, but it was not the best place to grow up a queer kid.
Challenging, I'm sure. I remember a buddy of mine actually went to Mesa State College, and there was this wonderful guy named Andy who had like an African herbs and art shop, and he would host like drum circles and like, burn incense and sell candles. Just that kind of place. It was awesome. But like, he was like the cultural hub. It was really cool. And the college kids really gravitated to it. Nice. It was really neat. Cool. Yeah, this is going to be a fun podcast. I'm really looking forward to it. And kind of pre-production to the show, we've decided to veer away from any kind of political issues as much as possible and anything radically, I would say, confrontational or anything to bring bad energy. I think all of us here want to have something really cool for the city, something cool that our friends and family would really enjoy without like having to delve into like AM radio type banter or anything else that's being covered by other podcasts. And there's certainly some good local political type shows, So we might be intentional of staying out of some of that arena. Not that we're scared of it, but I just don't think that'll be this kind of show. But you never know where we'll go. I think we're all in kind of unison that art and culture is something we really want to promote in music. Maybe give shout out to our friends that are doing like really cool things business wise, whether they have openings or new product launches. Be able to do some interviews of people that are doing stuff locally. I think will be really fun. As best we can, we're going to record the show in one room. So we've got a spot at the taxi building off Rigsby Court, if you're familiar with the area, just west of Rhino across the Platte River. So as best we can, we'll do it. We'll be in one room. We'll add video to the show. We're probably going to do some snippets and some I don't know what they're calling the YouTube shorts. I think that's what it is, and get some videos going and hopefully have a lot of fun with this show. It should be cool. So let's see. We could probably wrap it up there, unless we want to go into some events. I mean, we could probably publish it this week and get out some events. What do you guys think? Should we add some events, or should we just wrap it here for episode 0?
I could talk real quick, and just to say, I'm super excited. We got the OG Denver perspective with the secret spots, the well-known and the not well-known locations through Ryan. From me, we're going to get the out-of-state moving into Denver perspective. And from Olivia, we're going to get the born in Colorado, but still new to Denver, moved here later on in life perspective. So that's pretty exciting. And Troy is going to be our man behind the scenes running everything. So I think we got a pretty good setup here. But I got a couple of things, Ryan. If we're going to put this out this week, I got a few things that are going on this weekend if we want to learn about nightlife. And I also got a sweet food recommendation if anyone's interested. So
let's do it. Let's do it. What do you got, Tom?
Well, just to break into the nightlife scene, it's Pretty Lights weekend in Denver. So Pretty Lights coming back off of a who knows how many year hiatus, maybe like 7 or 8 years. He just disappeared. Everyone loved him. He was at the top of the dance music scene, and Denver is one of his biggest markets. So he's starting off the new tour, the return tour here at Mission Ballroom with a 3-day stint, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all sold out within seconds. He's even doing next weekend, 3 days at Dillon Amphitheater, also sold out within seconds. So you could tell how much people are excited to have him back. That's the biggest thing going on here this weekend. Red Rocks, we got Friday, the Front Bottoms, and Saturday, we got 7 a.m. yoga on the rocks if you're trying to wake up. And then Saturday night, Boy Genius, who I am not too familiar with. And Sunday, Joe Bonamassa. I don't know Saturday or Sunday's crew at Red Rocks too well, but that's what's going on over there. In the food scene, something that everybody's got to check out. It's a somewhat new spot, Bao Brewhouse. Has anyone heard of it? Anyone? Ryan?
No. What is it called? Bao?
No. Bao Brewhouse. It is dope. It's super cool. Tuesday nights, all you can eat dumplings from 5 p.m. to close. And then once a month, they do an event called Bao Buns and Boogies, where they're going to just be playing house music all night. This place is also basically a club. Like, they turn it into a club at night. They're doing house music all night with free bao buns for everyone in attendance coming out at midnight. And then also they're doing some other good deals, late night date nights from Thursday to Saturday. They're serving food till midnight. Also basically turns into a club after that. So it's a great spot to be. And then every day lunch specials, $8 dim sum lunch special. It's so good, and it's just a cool atmosphere. And also the fact that they just like gradually transition into a club as you're like finishing your meal is pretty convenient and really fun. So,
and it's a brewery as well.
That out. Yeah, Bao Brewhouse. They got everything you can imagine, but they're focusing on that Asian fling type of food. You know, obviously a little bit Americanized, but they got the awesome dumplings, and it's just delicious. The events are super fun there. You got to check it out.
It's awesome. And we'll also put links in the show notes as best we can for all of our suggested recommendations and opportunities for tickets. Also, we'll probably have contact information there. If you would like us to promote your event, we're happy to. And you can reach out in the show notes. How about you, Olivia? You got a couple of things on tap this week?
Yeah, I do. So last Friday, I went to this thing called Untitled Artist Takeover at the Dam, which was really cool because a lot of major art institutions don't invite in locals to talk about like how they process that art and local artists as well. And so this last Friday, it was about an exhibit that was featuring a lot of Native American culture and Latinx culture. And so there was this chef there named Ben Jacobs who has a place called Tocabe. It's a Native American eatery. And so I'm so stoked to go there. He's featuring, recipes that he's traveled all over the US and Canada to find and like really connect with those communities. So I'm stoked about that. And then also, have you guys been to a place called Grandma's House on South Broadway?
No.
Okay. Apparently, a lot of people know about it, but every Saturday night, they do local comedy. And then every Sunday, they do this thing called foul-mouthed cross-stitching. So they got my number. I'm going to do both of those things.
Foul-mouthed cross-stitching. That's amazing.
What's up.
Grandma's House. I love it. Cool. And shout out to Tocabe. That place is a Denver institution. It's all fry bread recipes. Although if you go on Friday and Saturdays, they got the buffalo ribs. They'll do like a choke cherry jam with the buffalo ribs. They're absolutely ridiculous in size and so tasty. I love Tocabe. That's any event that they're sponsoring, and they always are a major sponsor for March Powwow. You got to get the fry bread. Come on.
Yeah, I ate too many pieces of it. One of the owners, Ben, was talking to us about what he does, which was so cool to have the opportunity to hear his stories firsthand. But he had this big bowl of fry bread in front of him, and I was just chowing down. It was great.
So good. It's so good. It's at 44th and Lowell for people that want to check out Tocabe, absolute Denver institution. Amazing. Cool. I'll close this out just with a shout out to a local business that I've been to a couple of times in the last month, which is Samana. Samana is a float center at 25th and Larimer. So if you're familiar with a float tank or a sensory deprivation tank, it's basically a warm bath that you get into. I think at this point, float tanks are pretty ubiquitous as far as people know what it is. Well, years ago, I was really into the floats and doing it pretty regularly. And shout out to Paul and Heather who own Samana. I was talking, they're buddies of mine. And I was talking to Paul and just kind of howling at the moon a little bit. He texts me. He's like, "Hey man, I added a couple floats to your account." It's like, "Oh, thank you so much." And so I got back in there and I've been floating consistently ever since, and particularly what I like to do is just, if I can stay focused and count my breaths in those float tanks, it is the most amazing relaxation technique. If you're into kind of like a contemplative or meditation kind of state, it's a great place to practice that. But you marry that, the silence and stillness and floating of the tank with all the Epsom salts. I swear to God, you come out of there and your voice is like an octave lower. Your appreciation for the sights and sound of planet Earth have been enhanced. It's amazing. If you haven't tried a float tank, Samana is the best float center on planet Earth. And they were voted that by their colleagues. I've gone to float conferences here in Denver, and they're very, very well regarded. It's absolutely gorgeous. They have visionary art all over the place, and it's right in the heart of Rhino Art District. 25th and Larimer, they're kind of like inside a building around a back alley. You kind of got to know about it in order to get in there. But definitely check out Samana Float. You can Google that. If you see Paul or Heather, tell them we sent you and tell them I love them. And I appreciate the floats, guys. Shout out to you guys.
Nice. I definitely got to try that.
Yeah. It's amazing. It takes a minute to kind of get accustomed to, like, what am I doing? Just floating here in stillness and darkness and silence. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. But maybe we'll do a field trip for the podcast, and we'll do a show after a float tank, and it'll be the most chill, melodic podcast we've ever done. So
Yes.
That's it. Episode 0. What's good, Denver? Really excited about this show. It's going to be awesome. Troy, thanks so much for the production. And Troy also produced the intro and outro. We'll put links to everybody's credits and what everybody's working on in the show notes. The show notes will end up being rather robust. So thanks so much for listening, and tell your friends if you're in Denver, you want to learn about upcoming events and culture in Denver. That's the show.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Thank you.
Show.